United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call to order the Torch Lake Township regular board meeting of February 18th, 2025 at 7:01. Reviewing the housekeeping items. Board, when speaking, please move close to your microphone to ensure you are heard clearly for the YouTube streaming, and I request that citizens who speak to adjust the height and stand close to the microphone. We are having some trouble with the microphone staying in an upright position, so you may need to hold it in place as you speak. There will be two opportunities for citizen comments. I will be requesting individuals stay within the 4 minutes in both citizen comment sections and would appreciate everyone keeping their points concise. I would request that comments are made respectfully to the board. We are here to discuss the township's business. Citizen comments should pertain specific issues, concerns, or policies they would like to bring to the board's attention. To respect everyone's time, I strongly urge the board not to respond to public comment, but address them in the board comment section or during board discussion. Sometimes this is difficult, but it is not a debating stage between citizens and board members. We have township business to conduct, and it is required that we do it so effectively. If there needs to be a follow-up from the board, I will direct the appropriate person to reach out to the individual. The documents on the website are aligned to the items on the agenda. These are draft documents to provide background information only. To be clear, motions are drafted to help the board more quickly get to the final wording and vote on the respective motions. The final motion may look different to reflect the actual action taken by the board. Our first item, board, is a review of the minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes to the regular board meeting of January 21st, 2025? I have two. In section D, item number 7. For this particular item, we said ordinance resolution 2025-05. And speaking with Todd, we can fix a slight clerical error there. We will remove the word resolution, and we will change the 05 to 01. The second item will be also under number D. Number 11, we will change resolution 2025-06 to resolution 2025-05. Just strictly a numerical change. Are there any other changes?
I have none.
None.
All right, thank you. I will make the motion to approve the January 21st, 2025 regular board meeting minutes with changes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Andy. It is moved and seconded to approve the regular board meeting minutes of January 21st, 2025 regular board meeting minutes with changes. Any further discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item, are there any changes to the minutes to the special board meeting of January 21st, 2025, which was related to discussing the proposed general fund, Torch Bay Nature Preserve, Cemetery, and Liquor Inspection Office, the budgets for the fiscal year 2025-26? Hearing none, I will make the motion to approve the minutes for the special budget board meeting of January 21st, 2025 as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jason. It is moved and seconded to approve the special budget board meeting minutes of January 21st, 2025 as presented. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Finally, are there any changes to the minutes to the special budget board meeting of January 27th, 2024? I'm sorry, 25, which was related to discussing the consolidated Torch Lake Township budget for the fiscal year 2025-2026. Hearing none, I will make the motion to approve the minutes for the special budget board meeting of January 27th, 2025 as presented. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mary. It is moved and seconded to approve the special budget board meeting of January 27th, 2025 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next item is correspondence and announcements. Mary, do we have anything? All right. Next item on the agenda is review of the agenda. Anyone have any changes before I get started? All right. Sharon did not get a chance to prepare the fee schedule for the cemetery. So therefore, item number 1 is to be removed. Item 2 and item 3 are moved up to item 1 and item 2. Next, based on the changes to last month's minutes, we can delete items 4 and 5. Item 6 is removed as we will not have a quorum in order to vote on the contract for landscaping. And finally, I would like to add a PAR grant request from the fire department so that will now be item number 3. Number 3 will be the PAR grant. I gave you folks the new agenda items in the order so that you don't have to try to weed through it. Any other changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I make the motion that the agenda be accepted with changes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded that the agenda is accepted with changes. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now move to citizen comments. Please respect the 4-minute limit. I will be watching the time. Also, board, as a reminder, this is not citizen debate. Take your notes as to the comments that we hear. We will discuss it. Since there may be a discussion around the library, we'll be happy to do that as part of board discussion. And we can also do other board comments at the very end of the meeting. So, Mary, we'll start with the group.
Okay, the first one I have here is Herb Ross. Maxima Bike Trail.
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm just kind of, we were at a meeting last week, Chris and I. The committee of the bike trail met and discussed it, and we were pretty excited about it. I think it offers the area a way to get from Traverse City from the tar trails up to Charlotte safely along 31 without having to ride on the road. It will bring in bike riders the ability to go to either Pine Hill, Torchport, IGA, town itself. It'll open up a lot of things for the area. It also will allow you to ride the Charlotte or go down the trip. It has the potential of bringing in, business to the town itself and opening options for the town to develop around the trail. And also that area of Eastport, it used to be the development that was going to be the storage facility.
Condominiums or whatever, yeah.
That's actually been picked up by the trail and will be a trailhead, for this trail. So I just wanted to put in the word for it and our enthusiasm about it.
Yep, very good. Thank you, Herb. Mary, next.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Nancy Taylor, here to talk about the ER district library.
Hello, my name is Nancy Taylor. I have lived here since 2017, and I have been working on the Foundation and Grants Committee for the Township District Library, and I came to understand, I have a career in library card holder, and I came to understand that Township Township has a contract situation versus a millage supporting the library, and that the contract, the board had decided to not renew the contract. So I wanted to present that I hope that you can reconsider that, because the library is more than just a repository of books. It's actually, with the new expansion to the location on Tarrant Highway, it's actually developed to be more of a community center. And I wanted to present some research that I've done as part of the grants and foundations to support the needs of the southern half of Portland Township to have access to a library. Because if this contract is not renewed, 500 or 606 people will not have access to a library. So Township Township's median age is 62.3 years old, and it's 43% of the population. But of that population, Township Township actually has an 11.1% poverty rate, which is 20% higher than all of the counties. And access to the library at the current rates might be limiting if we have to pay gas fees if this contract is not renewed, because versus a $5 to $6 fee, which is under the current contract, we would have to pay $80 per person, and that might be income limited for the number of people in the township. There's a vast number of people, 98.1% have high school graduation, and over half the population have over a bachelor's and above. So we have an educated society with access to books and resources is of interest. Antrim County also has a child poverty rate of 16.3%, and services and programs in the area, because we are rural, are limited. So the library, as a community center and central location that offers a lot of free resources, has a strong need in this community to help our children grow up with access to educational resources as well as programming that might be limited by funding and families. Services and programs in rural areas are limited, and access is problematic because of the distance between home and town centers. Income limitations can create obstacles to technology and resources. And oddly, books are not only the primary thing in libraries. It's also actually surprising that mental health is something that the library can address, because it's more compelling. We didn't often think of mental health in libraries, but there's been a study by the Surgeon General that primarily elderly, but also children, do not have access to mental health resources, and if the community library does exist for that, rooms can exist to promote telehealth, also consulting, and also give wellness programs for these populations.
Nancy, 30 seconds.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. So finally, the library also addresses food insecurity now, because they offer free food pantry, which will help citizens who might have food insecurity. So it's more than just books. It's more than just borrowing e-books. It's more of a community center focused on connected people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Anderson.
The library. Okay. Pam Williams, Elk Rapids Library.
You may have to hold it.
So my name is Pam Williams, and I'm the director of the Elk Rapids District Library. I've been here for about 2 years. But for 50 years, Torchlight Township residents have had a contract with the Elk Rapids District Library to be their home library through that contract. Torchlight Township is in a unique position because 500 to 600 people of the residents paying a millage to Central Lake. Could you turn yourself closer to the mic? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's okay. I'm sorry.
Maybe it's turned on.
Did it turn off a little?
Is the green light on?
No, the red light's in.
The red light's on, naturally.
That's what always happens.
I don't know what that is.
And we always,
Okay, we try this time, apologize.
Yep.
That's okay.
we'll give her the advantage of the first 30 seconds.
Well, thank you, thank you. So like I was saying, about half of your citizens pay a millage to the Central Lake District Library. That leaves the remaining of your constituents without a library service. Therefore, something like a contract, like you've had with the Elk Rapids Library for the last 50 years, is pretty standard. This contract ensures that your citizens will get full library services, whether they live in the Elk Rapids District Library District or if they live in the Central Lake. Moreover, the township has contributed $3,500 annually for the past 20 years to support these services. On January 13th, I requested a meeting with the township treasurer to discuss this longstanding contract. Then on January 23rd, Supervisor Cook informed me that after your budget review, you decided to discontinue funding to the Elk Rapids District Library. So this decision was made without a meeting with the library or the citizens and effectively ends our 50-year relationship, eliminating library services for those residents. Since receiving this notice, we have met with Supervisor Cook to exchange information about library card usage and circulation data, as well as to express our deep concern over cutting off access to the Torch Lake Township library users. In your packet for discussion later tonight are the original numbers we presented to Supervisor Cook at our February 4th meeting. Because the meeting and because of subsequent email communications revealed contradictory numbers of exactly how many people we serve in Torch Lake Township, from the township believing we serve 100% to us believing we served about 500 in the Elk Rapids School District, I decided to get the real numbers on record from the state of Michigan. So the state of Michigan provides certified population counts for libraries, including the contracted areas. Their certified number for Torch Lake Township contract is 606. So that's higher than the 500 we originally believed and lower than the whole population of Torch Lake Township, and I believe about half of your population. According to their calculations, starting on March 1st of this year, 606 residents in Torch Lake Township will become unserved by a local library. This means they will no longer have access to a public library unless they individually purchase a library card, creating an unnecessary financial barrier for some families and individuals who have relied on these services for decades. Currently, 356 Torch Lake Township residents hold active library cards, meaning with the state certified number of 606, that's 58% of your contracted population regularly uses the Elk Rapids Library. Over the past 3 years, circulation numbers have steadily increased, demonstrating a growing demand for library services. And yet, these patrons are about to lose those essential resources. From a financial perspective, the disparity is clear. The Elk Rapids District Library's tax base supports amounts over $75 per person within its district, while Torch Lake Township has paid $5 to $7 per person for the same services, an amount that has remained unchanged for 20 years. Despite this, we have continued to provide equal services to all. Given this reality, it's only reasonable to discuss updating a contract that has remained static for the last 2 decades.
30 seconds.
I urge you to reconsider the decision to cut library services from half your population. Like Nancy said, libraries are more than just buildings filled with books. They're lifelines for people with education, literacy, and community connection. It's not just about the numbers in the budget. It's about real people, real families, real futures. So please do not take this vital resources from your community.
All right, thank you.
Are we good? Rita Service, also talking about the library.
Hi, my name is Rita Service, and I'd like to make a couple comments about the ER library. So we've just heard that that they've been charging $5 to $7 a year. I believe this is an annual contract, so that came from the library. Now, if you do the math, it's 1,000% increase per person. 1,042%, not 5, not 50, not 100. But how many people get 1,042% salary increase? But yet they want to charge people for, that was a perfectly good building. Now they want us to support their $7 million building. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next.
Now we have Jairus Rubing.
Good evening, everyone. I think I've mentioned a couple times before, the Antrim County Building Department has moved the soil erosion and sedimentation inspector into our building department. Previously, they were under the Conservation District. And the gentleman that's been hired to oversee this for our citizens is Brad Cavisto. And he was hired in November and he was certified in January. So moving forward, if someone is doing a building or making a road and they need a soil permit, that will come through the building department. A lot of other counties in the state of Michigan are doing that. And we're also endeavoring to do this starting now. And our county administrator is facilitating that. So if you have any questions or concerns on that, let me know, or our county. Also, just thought it was interesting. The Antrim County Road Commission recently posted that in their storm total update for the winter so far, they've documented 211 inches of snow. And last year was 78, and 2023 was 124. 2022 was 112. In the years 1996 and 1997 were years we saw over 240 inches of snow about 30 years ago, and it looks like that's where we're going this year. So, any questions? Thank you.
Yep,
you.
thanks, Jairus. Any other comments?
No more.
All right,
comments?
thank
Laura's coming up.
I was having trouble hearing what they said. I wanted to hear their presentation before I made a comment. But I will just say that I used to patronize the library, and I used it primarily for their value line subscription. So now they no longer, for the last 3 years, they haven't had it. So I had to join another library. And so I think, maybe take into consideration that they don't serve all the people in our county. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's it, then thank you, everybody, for your comments. Move on to the next item for the consent agenda. Anybody wish to pull any of the reports? If not, then I will accept all the reports by consent. Thank you very much, Ford. Next item, special reports. Andy, anything on the planning commission?
No, since the meeting was canceled yesterday,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
saw Sarah's note regarding the weather, I think.
There was scheduling conflicts for at least one person and then the weather on top of it.
Okay. Mary, any FOIA update?
No,
Good.
I know,
No headaches there.
nothing.
Financial overview. As always, any questions regarding the financials can be directed either to myself or the clerk's office. Generally, the general fund is favorable to budget by $168,000. Revenues were favorable by $103,000 and the expenses by $65,000. 16 of our cost centers are under budget by $99,000. 5 cost centers are over budget by $33,000. The fire fund is unfavorable to budget by $91,000. Again, somewhat the timing around the fire truck. Ambulance is favorable by $62,000. Little has changed really from last month's totals. We are still in a strong cash position as we continue to collect our tax revenue. Under the board discussion, I will be talking about our capital program, where we stand right now as to the outstanding debt to the general fund. That completes my report. And again, as anyone has any questions, give me a call or call the clerk's office. Thank you. So moving on. We have board action. We have 3 items, board. We have no old business. Item number 1 is the contract for our township attorney. There was a slight increase in his fees. You had the contract to review. Are there any questions related to the contract?
My only question is, so in general, we have our attorney review contracts for the township, correct?
Yes.
So in this particular contract, obviously it's just a slight increase, which seems very reasonable. Any other changes to his contract?
None that I saw.
Okay.
And Todd's really pretty good for us.
No, he's been very, very good, and matters on the planning commission's my experience.
Yep.
He's been very effective.
And he's done well when we've had to go to court. So I'm very pleased.
Did we give him a raise last year?
We did. It
And
was
the year before that?
every year.
Every year.
Well, we all got increases.
That's just a question.
Quick answer. Lawyers aren't cheap anymore. So do I have a motion to accept the contract for the township attorney?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. It's been
I'll second
moved.
it. I'll second
Andy,
it.
thank you very much. It has been moved and seconded to accept the township attorney's contract. Any other discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote. Mary?
Bob,
Yes?
Jason,
Yes.
Mary, yes. Andy,
Yes.
All right, that passes 4-0. Second contract on our agenda is the one for Mike Bertram as our ambulance director. I had Todd review it. He had no issues with it. We did add a somewhat of a job description at the very bottom. We didn't have that before. And this is meeting what he's been doing for the last couple of years. So you've had a chance to review this. Any questions on the contract? Because we have Mike here. I mean, here's your chance.
Did Michael get a raise?
He did get a raise.
Okay.
And I think we all approved it in the budgeting process. All right. Is there a motion to approve the contract for Mike Bertram as ambulance director?
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Sorry.
That's good. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract for Mike Bertram as ambulance director. Mary, would you have a roll call vote, please?
Andy,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes?
Mary, yes.
All right, motion passes. Final item. This came up somewhat at the last minute. We have applied in the past for PAR grant funding. We tend not to have a high success rate for this, for whatever the reason is. I do know that sometimes we have problems with grants because of the township, but what we have now is another grant request for roughly $5,000. This is for cameras that will go on the helmets of our firefighters. The purpose for the cameras is twofold. One is to record what's going on in the fire and for review of the recording of it to see the aspects of the fire. The second one is in case we get sued because somebody claims our fire department didn't do things according to the appropriate standards. This will help us protect that. I would like your support. We have to do a resolution in order to qualify for consideration. And if we don't get it, then I will recommend to the board that we purchase these items anyway. Total cost would be roughly $5,165. So let's see if we can't get a PAR grant. If we can't, then we'll address this during the next budget year. So I'll make the motion to approve.
Wait, just a
Oh,
quick
go ahead.
question, Bob. Is there any reason not to apply for it? Other than
Ahead
the
of
fact
time?
that there's debate about whether you need the cameras. I think we need the cameras, but
Right.
is there any reason not to apply for the grant to get them?
No, that's what the
Yeah,
resolution will be,
that's what I
is to
agree.
apply for. The grants, they require the board to do a resolution. It's just not an application from the fire department. It's got to be a board-directed resolution. We've done this in the past. We tried to, in the past, we had PAR grants for like fencing down at the day park. It was rejected. I don't know why. It wasn't that much money, but we don't have a high success rate. Any other questions on that? If not, then I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2025-06, PAR Plan Grant Request for Fire Cam Helmet Cameras. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-06, PAR Plan Grant Request for Fire Cam Helmet Cameras. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none.
Seconded that.
I second it.
Okay.
I think you've said them all, right?
I missed
No.
one. Jason picked one,
All
at
right.
least one.
No other discussion, Mary, a roll call vote.
Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes?
Andy,
Yes.
Mary, yes.
All right, board. That concludes our new business.
How long does it take to hear back whether you get it?
That's a Sharon question, isn't it?
Yeah, that normally Sharon. Hey, Ted, how long would it take before we'll hear a response from them? Okay, that's fine. we have used the budget up this year for the equipment. We have probably some excess funds next year after the wish list they gave us. So we'll have it to cover if we don't get that thing. All right, moving on to the board discussion. We'll get the exciting one out of the way first. I had provided the board with all of the emails that went between myself and Pam, just for you to understand that there has been communications and consideration of the requests. I think the significant thing is that we are being requested to go from $3,500 a year to somewhere between $24,000 and $40,000 a year. I have a real problem with that, as I expressed to them. It's, if you take your $80 times, I know, but you told me that what you wanted, this is board discussion, not citizen discussion. If we look at what they were comparing us to, and with the fact that at some future date, as she indicated, there would have to be a fee, the $80 fee was discussed during the meeting that I held. She is correct. She didn't tell me it was going to be $80, but she didn't say it wasn't going to be $80, because I did show the comment. When you take 500 people times $80, you got a lot of money. The second thing is half of our township has access to the library at Central Lake and I believe Charlevoix by extension. So we're talking about half of the community. My recommendation to them was that they needed to take it to the south end, the Elk Rapids School District voters, and ask them to support the Elk Rapids Library with a millage. Because the $80 or $50 or $20, it's all going to continue to go up as they move forward with the new library. And I think the millage is something that those townships agreed to some years ago, and I don't believe we should have to be held to that. In addition, I don't think as a library for $80 a year, I think that's a bargain for people. And it includes the full service with ebooks and the computers and whatever. And I don't think the township should be responsible. It's a usage fee. We're not part of that particular library district. So in my opinion, I don't believe that we should be supporting it out of the general fund. We had our board discussion when it came up for the $3,500, and there was consensus not to include it. So I open it up for discussion with the board at this point.
Well, I personally would like to see what kind of proposal they would have as far as a contract goes.
That would have been nice. Jason, thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I would like to see what a new contract would look like. Obviously, it's going to go up from 3,500. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of torn because I'll admit, I mean, we took our kids to that library when it was Kid Day, and they enjoyed it, and it was a good hour of break from the kids. But I would like to see what the new contract possibly would look like.
Okay. Andy.
I agree. Let's see what's proposed, see what we all recognize it would be an increase. The question is how much?
All right.
And then we can do calculations and maybe even a little bit further granularity around the breakup of who accesses which district and where they're located and so forth. That would all be helpful to all in one kind of fell swoop, and then we can decide.
All right. I will put together a letter. I'll send it off to the Elk Rapids Library and request that information along with the draft of a contract that they would propose. Very good, board. Thank you. Moving on to the next item. All right, this is just a draft of where we are at right now. Based on what Sharon has told me through the tax collections, we have paid back the general fund for the borrowings of the ambulance, the fire truck, and the road work that has been completed. The next two items that we will be receiving, the fire truck and the ambulance, will be received next year. I'm working on those numbers right now. Fortunately, the ambulance is roughly the same number, about 335,000 roughly. We've already put down 10% on that. The fire truck is less than the last one. It's around 300,000, 290 something. We've also put down 15% on that. So with a full year of capital millage coming, we should be in pretty good shape to borrow a minimum amount from the general fund to meet those needs. As we look through the budget right now, the budget is basically a break even for the general fund and for the township. But we don't have any contingency funds put away. So we'll have to be looking carefully at our expenditures. I think the only wild card for us will be in the ambulance operations, just because there's variables in there with overtime and stuff that we really don't have any control over. So other than that, I think we're in good shape. We'll have the annual meeting on March 11th, and we'll present the township budget at that time. Any questions? If not, then that finishes our board discussion. We have no items, no information, only items. So citizen comment. Yes.
So you guys were just talking about a contract. I personally am very skittish about the township committing funds via a contract without the taxpayer saying yes or no. So I would ask the board to consider that if in fact they give a more reasonable number than $80 per person, that actually goes in front of the taxpayers for the taxpayers to decide whether they want to pay for this, and versus the township saying, by golly, every year we're going to send this money. Leave it up to the taxpayers. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other further comments? Nancy?
Just for point of clarification, I support, thank you so much for considering, acknowledging there's no contract that has been discussed. So I appreciate you wanting one to be discussed for real numbers. The other point that was brought up is none of these monies are going for the new building. Just as a point of clarification, these are for library services. The funding for the building, whether you agree for it or not, that's not what these funds are going for. Oh, sorry, that's not what the funds are going for, is the building. So there was a confusion on whether 1,000% increase on that going toward the building. But while I do agree having this presented to the taxpayers is important, because almost 60% of the southern half uses that library. So without regard to the number, the dollar sign, you're assigning 60% of the population to no library without any say. So I just urge you to consider bringing it before the taxpayers, but also acknowledging that those monies are not going for the new building itself.
All right, thank you. Hearing no further comments, we will go to board comment. And Andy, you want to lead off?
Sure. I think regarding the library, I don't think we need to get ahead of ourselves. We need to see a proposal to start with. I think a contract's only a mechanism that potentially, among other mechanisms, including present to the voters themselves. So I think let's just start and see what they're asking us of us, and then proceed from that basis. Just decide on
Yeah.
process afterwards.
That's fine, great. Mary?
I agree with that. I think the library is really important. It's always been a big part of my life. And, I mean, taxpayers are already, contributing this $3,500, via the general fund, which for the 356 people, $3,500 divided by that, it works out to be like $9.80, which is a pretty good deal for people. So, yeah, I guess I agree. Let's see more about what the library is proposing.
Jason?
I have a couple things. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does Acme Township and Whitewater Township participate in the library?
If they're in the Elk Rapids School District, they do, but they also participate as guests in the reciprocal agreement.
Okay.
Because they have a whole library that also, is probably in Traverse City, that also allows our patrons to take cards with them as guests.
Okay. And my other comment is it's in regards to the bike trail. And it sounds like people have been working hard on it. But I've sat on the planning commission and this board for the last 4 years, and we've had some big topics come up, one being the Dollar General, and another one being the fancy storage unit with the RVs. And 90% of the comments that I hear from the public is we don't want this because we don't want more people in our township. But then now we have this bike trail and, it'll bring all these people to the township. So it's just kind of funny sitting here in the last 4 years and just seeing how people, it's like, it's okay for some things, but not others. And one of the other things about that RV storage was they were concerned about all the people and how dangerous that intersection is. And now we're going to have a bunch of bikers there. So that's all.
All right, Jason. My comment is brief. I first want to thank my wife for her understanding for the demands of this office. Instead of a romantic dinner tonight to celebrate her birthday, she is here supporting me in the township board meeting. So thank you for understanding. Happy birthday, sweetheart. With that, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting's closed.